Welcome to another exciting video of games. I am your host, Debonair, hoping that you are continuing to make video games with BuildBox, the number one codeless solution for developing these video games fast. And today, I think Tenkaichi 4 has definitely inspired me to check out the old classics and maybe unlock hidden potential in old Flash games. If you're new to the channel, I'd like to thank you for stopping by, hoping that you continue to subscribe and click the like button. And today we are trying to recreate the iconic Dragon Ball Z tournament. If you guys have ever seen that game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But if somehow you have missed out, let's check it out real quick. All right. I was inspired by the old school classic video game, mainly because Mr. Jabrils attempted to create his very own version of it. Links to his video will be in the description. And he was trying to bring it back. And quite honestly, I think that his approach, though uh, enjoyable, intriguing to watch as a video presentation, I think there were some elements that kept him from actually finishing the project. I would also like to discuss the possibility of us using this kind of business model for a time to at least, at minimum, create a marketably viable game studio for you and I to participate in, and furthermore, grow, make money from, using the awesomeness that is the games that have existed in the past. And quite honestly, like even this game is slightly difficult for you to run into. You would have to go and download something called Flash Infinity, if I'm not mistaken, or Flashpoint Infinity. And then from downloading that, you will have to install it onto your computer, followed by actually, playing the game. And so that means that there are a multitude of individuals who, quite frankly, will never get to experience the simplistic enjoyment of Dragon Ball Z tournament. Originally on the Cartoon Network fan game website, or a game website specifically when it had Flash games, and then actually it was on Newgrounds for a little amount of time, if I'm not mistaken, and it didn't stay with us, right? Flash was deprecated, and so no one's really using Flash anymore for not only video games but also animation. And so I think that that provides an opportunity for you and I as indie game developers to, at minimum, use these games to practice our skills, practice the game engine that we're using, better understand it, better know it, understand what a marketably viable product is, what a finished product should look like, because of using this as a blueprint, and then also afterwards or after that, taking and creating a product that can actually make us some substantial income. If that sounds like something you're into, you know exactly what to do. But if you don't, read the description in the top 10 comment. Okay. So I'm actually, as you guys see up on the screen, we have what's available is the game that we are making. Haven't decided on the name, but it does have remnants of the the Dragon Ball Z tournament game. Okay. And as you can see, I got my Dragon Ball Z stuff on right now. Cleaning up the office, getting it a little bit more organized, so you guys can have a few more angles and things of that nature. But Right now, we have differing screens. So the cool thing about me deciding to give my current game a break for a while and focus on this new title is because I believe that I could finish this new title within the week. It is currently Tuesday the 5th of September 2023. As you can see, it's 8:28:03, and I've been working on this. Okay, so I was working on this for a little bit over the week, trying to figure out some things. Really just playing around with things, but I think I'm going to be a little bit more organized this week. Hopefully, finish it up by the end of this week, and then release it the following Monday. So I'm going to show you this game in action and some of the fundamentals that I have already acquired or already have situated. And from that, we're going to build even further upon that. If you guys want to know exactly how to do that, make sure that you stay for the remainder of the video. This video is basically going, or these series of videos is basically going to be the setup, some of the programming, the dragging and dropping using BuildBox, #1 code solution for developing video games fast. And then we're actually going to put it on Google Play as well as a couple other mobile game platforms. Hopefully, we can get it into Newgrounds as well. Maybe release this also for PC as an updated version and see how much money we can actually make from the game. Do understand that, of course, all the Dragon Ball Z franchise in general is owned by Toei Animation, and all the characters have been created by Akira Toriyama, which means that when it comes to money, when it comes to this being marketably viable, we're actually going to have to take in some different conventions in order to be able to release this game safely, okay, without getting sued. That's the most important part. So let me raise this and let's really get into that. Um, so right now on the screen, you see that we have Goku, and we have these gauges that I actually created um, in order to be able to separate health and power. In the build box, these kind of gauges, these kind of health bars are not native to build box, so they don't necessarily work like you would want them to work. The health bar was actually annoying to work with in build box, but this is a better solution. If you want these health bars or these kind of bars, just let me know in the comment section below. And if we can get this video to 100 views, I'll be happy to give it to you. So right now we have the S, W, A, and Q, just like the actual game. We have A Goku is not completed, okay, and he may not make it all the way to the regular game. We have a cube over here. Just wanted to set up the CPU eventually, so this is a placeholder for the CPU. Right now, we can take and fall down. I had a little line there. We have the health increasing, of course, health bar and the power gauge will actually decrease and increase. Um, so it's relatively simple actually to get this set up. I was able to get the movement set up within about 3 days. I had to remember how saving and loading works in the game, and the build box system, and that actually helped me out a lot. I'm going to show you guys exactly what that looks like in just a moment. So now what's left is to import animations course in correspondence with the button layout icons here. Um, Also, I have to connect the health to the characters. So actually, I need a health bar for player 1 and player 2. Um, Next, I also need to import uh, or create a CPU system or a AI that you can go up against, and then program the hitboxes and things of that nature. So we still got some work to do, but for you, I'm going to show you more specifically how this works. All right, so what we have here on the screen is my current setup. This bot is from the Mixamo. It's just native to Mixamo, so I just downloaded it. Had to decrease the polygon count using Blender, but once I did that, I was able to import it into BuildBox. From there, I started importing and creating the animations that will be in the game, like flying up, the fight idle or bounce animations, and I also have to import some punching and kicking and fighting animations, blasting or firing animations like Kameha blast and things of that nature, um, and so much more. So it still is a lot of work, but I'm looking forward to getting it done. Like I said, within the uh, week. Okay. So let me show you guys how turn-based animations function. And really, it's easier to understand turn-based gameplay mechanics fundamentals if you understand what a turn is for you and your characters, or for your game in general. Basically, a turn is when you input information, and after you input the information, there comes a time when all that information is executed. So for here, you need to pick the direction that you want to go, or the place that you want to move to. So we have a direction screen, okay, and I'm going to show you. We already know what the direction screen looks like. The start of any turn starts off with a direction. Next, after you select your direction, the direction that you want to go. As a matter of fact, I think this will be better represented with what I already have. So, so here is your direction screen. So direction screen, you get to choose where you want to go. After that, you will have your attack screen, okay, or your action screen. What action do you want to take? I actually probably should have called it action screen, but because you're not always attacking. Um, but your attack screen, or your direction, or excuse me, we'll keep it as action. Your action screen is where you're going to select your actions from the lineup of actions that we have available. And it comes up almost immediately after you press the direction you want to go. So as you can see, here are the actions that you can take on that screen. And then once you select one of the actions, that is when the execution screen shows up. And the execution screen is when all of the action happens. So you're basically delaying movement, or delaying any actions occurring until the execution screen shows up. So basically, if you have everything set up in accordance in this way, then you'll be able to control when things occur. So if we head to the direction screen, we can go and see exactly what's happening. We have buttons here. These buttons are my location buttons. Okay, so um, where we're going to be going when we select a location. Okay, and then there's also our health gauge. So the health bar and the power gauge, which has not changed its name yet. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but we'll change it right now. Power. Okay. Um. So yeah, it has all that, And then later, we look at the execution screen, and it's the same thing. Um, doesn't really have anything other than the health bar on it because everything is being executed during that time. Um, you've already seen what the direction and the execution looks like. So now let's get into the code, the fundamentals, how this is working. Of course, BuildBox uses JavaScript, but for the bulk of what we have on the screen so far, I haven't had to do any specialty scripts in this project so far. So we're really basically using what's already in BuildBox for the most part. Okay, so well, first let's go into the player and what's inside of the player. And as we can see in the player is where our information as far as directions and rotations and things of that nature is. But right now it's just the position and animations will go into the character. So we have our animations, which are set so that the or position animations that are set so that the character or cube, moves to those differing locations. We have in this setup, we have is delta turned off because we want our target delta to be exact representations of locations inside of the game, inside of the area. So we don't want this to be added upon. We want it to be those exact coordinates in the game. Okay? So that's what these have been set to, and that's how we do it in BuildBox. Okay? Now, I don't like to have direct connections to my character for the most part because it makes it a little bit easier to change things in the game if you don't have everything directly connected to the character. And what do I mean by this? I mean, instead of having movement controlled inside of the character, I have movement controlled outside the character. And we have that created by having whatever is controlling the movement sending a signal to the character in order to trigger the kind of movement that you want to exhibit. Okay, and so here we have a signal filter so that in one of those signals must be true, because the weird thing about a lot of things in build boxes, these are always almost everything is always sending out a signal, and that signal is normally true or false. So other things will end up triggering even on false signals, and we don't want that. So the best way to mitigate that is to have a signal filter that is ready for true, is waiting for true to come through. You can also use a state machine to get the same effect. In fact, I'm probably going to change this up later to just a state machine because a state machine behaves as a signal filter also, basically. However, it doesn't change the fact that um, I don't know. I feel like a signal filter is just a little bit more succinct, a little bit more clean, a little bit more neat, even though you gotta use a bunch of them. Okay. So our animations are triggered based on the location or what occurs in or on the battlefield. Okay. So you can set it up accordingly to how you want the animations to be set up. But I have animations being triggered after a specific signal is acquired. Based on the signal that's acquired will determine what animation plays. For example, I have if the character is flying up to this position, then at the same time that the signal is true and he flies up, this animation is going to occur. Right now, it needs some refinement because when the character is what's the word I'm looking for? When the character is uh in any location and he goes to that destination, the character will still end up exhibiting that flying pattern, that flying behavior, when in all actuality that flying behavior is in the wrong direction. It's uncalled for. So I need to figure out a better way to do that. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a section here, okay, in the sky that will control what animations this character has access to, predicated on where its location is, and vice versa for the CPU as well. CPU characters or player 2 or something like that. And so that way it will only play flying in a specific direction based on where it is currently or something like that. That may take a little bit more advanced script, but I'm hoping to not have to do that. Okay. So let's move on. So now that we have where our character can go and what our character can do, we want to see how can we get the character to actually go and do these things. Of course, there are buttons on top of those icons or images the way they look. So how is that information being sent to the character? Because as I stated previously, the character is receiving or waiting to receive information, right? And also, as you guys can see, this information is not sent immediately. Okay, it's only sent later on during the execution phase, so it doesn't happen immediately after you pressing the button. So how was that set up? Okay, so we're actually going to go next to the directional movement screen. Okay, and specifically, I created a UI element known as the direction selection phase. Okay, and this UI element holds the information for what is supposed to occur during the execution phase. Okay, so I'm going to click into there, and here is how this is controlled. Number one, the UI button being pressed happens on this page. So that's when that information is sent. Then it goes through a state machine, because this way I don't have to use a signal filter and I don't have to change any of these. The state machine sets it up so that whatever is true, all the rest are false. That's great. And so that way, no signals are being sent that are unnecessary. Um, so from here, if our left top, that's what LT stands for here for me, if our left top button is being pressed, then we actually have variable saves. And what they save is what I specified to be, okay? And LT is then saved, okay? After LT is saved, there is a signal that is sent out, um, or upon getting information from out of the state machine, there's a signal needs to be true. So whatever signal that comes out is true regardless. There's a slight delay, and then we jump to the next screen. That's what this is. It's an event node. You guys can find it by using the search bar. And with the event node, you can trigger a transition from one screen to the next. So from the direction screen, we go to the attack screen. Now, in my attack screen, I haven't set it up fully yet, but it's going to be the same premise as what we already have. Right now, I just have a hidden button, but later on, the power buttons, the shield buttons, the attack buttons are all going to do the same thing. And this hidden button, I consider, or I axed it, or I called it the OK button. So that's what I press in the hidden area, just for testing first, to make sure things work like they should. So if we go into the attack selection phase, You can see I'm setting up the same thing. So the power up button is going to be controlled by the power up button, and then you go to the drop down in order to access it. And from here, voila, you have all the buttons that I have created. From there, you're going to do the same thing. The button is going to be pressed and then it's going to be saved. Now, the reason why we're doing the saving is because we don't want to execute it on that phase right now. However, when you get a scene transition, or when you get a world transition. I don't think it's a scene transition. I think it's a world transition or a screen transition, a UI screen transition. Information is restarted. Okay, information is rerouted. Things change. If you want those things to carry over, you need to use variable save. And then where you want it to carry over to, you need to use variable load. It's really quite that simple. Okay. So here where we would save the variable as power up. That's what will be saved. Again, anything inside of the state machine, whatever is true, all the rest is false. So that's excellent. All right. And then once you select that, we have, like, when I press the OK button, the UI automatically changes and it jumps to, I had it jump to the UI page. But for some reason, this just didn't come out the way I wanted it to. I wanted it to come out from the 3D world, but the 3D world UI is separate from everything else. It's what the 3D world starts off with, and it looks like it can't be removed or erased. So it is what it is. Um, I'll show you that problem here. Okay, this UI circle can't be erased, and it also feels like it, or it also seems like it can't be accessed any other way. I can't use it to create the loop. So it is what it is. I thought I could. Maybe there is something else that will allow me to select UI, but matter of fact, let's try it right now just to play with it. So let's see. We got a player in here. So we'll just do um, event. All right. So yeah, like I said, I wanted to see if I could change that. So we're going to change this event to the word UI. And hit that, and then see if that populates on our um, yeah, see, you now we have two UIs. So I don't know what that's about. It's it's a little bit of an annoyance, but it is what it is. No complaints here. um, the way I have it works for us already. So lastly, okay, is of course our execution screen. Okay, and this is where everything happens at. So on our execution screen, we actually have the execution phase here. Okay, and build box is shut down on me. So let's open it back up. Okay, so on the execution screen, as you can see, it is quite empty. But that doesn't change the fact that we still do have some things in it. So in our execution phase asset, we go into it. Okay, and in our execution phase is where the big money is. Okay, so now what we do is we just take the variables that we saved. So I saved the left type top, yeah, left top, right top, left bottom, right bottom. Okay, and they will be loaded at the start of the execution phase. What does this mean? This means that's when they'll be executed. And since that is when they'll be executed, we have a send node right after that, and it sends information to who or what or if or whit or it or them, whatever can receive it. Okay, and so it's going to send, of course, LT, right T, etc., etc., and that's the execution turn. So basically, if you have the execution screen and you set a bunch of loaded variables to it, then this can be when everything occurs, everything happens. And you can use this for things like Pokemon type of games. You can use this for things like Fire Emblem type of games. Basically, any turn based type of games. Um, Relatively simple, relatively easy, relatively fast, relatively quick. So you have it all here in one place. Okay. Now here on the screen, we do have an element that you guys won't have access to. As I stated previously, guys, this is a differing health system from what is native in BuildBox, the number one coded solution for developing video games fast. And the reason why I use this is because the native one moves with the entity. And for most games, I don't need the health bar to move with the entity, to move with the character. Um, yeah, so how can you get this? All you have to do is make sure that you have subscribed, and then once again, let me know in the comment section below that you need this, and I'll be more than happy to give it to you.